once we know how to support ourselves, then we also know how to support other people. It's a reconnecting process. And this is why I work with what I call heart-centered leadership. This dispassionate, analytical, leave your emotions at home flavor of leadership is part of the difficulty.
How did this experience that you've been chronicling for us lead to you coaching others? You've mentioned these words of wisdom here a moment ago, and I'm curious if you could take us and kind of bridge us through the plane and the coaching. I still can't imagine a 24-hour flight followed by a 30-hour flight, so I'm wondering how all of that worked out. But if you could take us through that, because I'd love to get to your coaching and love to get to how you're serving people, because I find it pretty inspirational. So please take us through the plane, and then let's get to your coaching.
Well, okay, so I got out of hospital at the beginning of April. They wanted me to stay a bit longer. I was like, can't, got a plane to catch. So they sent me home, and it was difficult at home because I could still barely move on my crutches. I could hardly get across my kitchen to get something to eat or a cup of tea. You know, it was tough, but I just thought, well, I'm still doing it. So I got on the plane, crossed my fingers. I had some painkillers. It wasn't as bad as I thought it could have been. Because sitting down was still very painful, but I just got through it somehow, and I saw my family, and that was worth the trek. That was really worth the trek. I thought if I never see them again, at least I'm here now. So I had a visit with my family, so that was lovely. And then I got the flight back, and then I thought, well, that worked out, so now I'm going to America. I was about 3 or 4 weeks later. I'd rehabilitated a bit by then. My muscles had got used to it a little bit. And so I went over and I did that course as well. I just thought, well, if this is what I'm meant to be doing, then I'm doing it. And my heart was so much in, if I can support people, well, then I can support people. And then once I got back home, I could, of course, work over Zoom, so I didn't need to be so mobile. And everybody said to me, you can't work with men in burnout, professional men in burnout. That became my niche of people I wanted to work with, because I could see that the sheer number of people in burnout by that time, this is 2018, was on the rise. It was enormous and still rising. You could see the field of suffering was gigantic and underserviced. And I thought, well, that's what I'm going to do. And people said, no, you can't do that, because basically professional men in burnout are not going to ask for help. They're type-A people. They're never going to come to you and say, hey, could you give us a hand up? And so everybody advised me not to. And I just thought, no, I'm keeping going. And frankly, through the coaching, I developed a method that would deal with all the symptoms of burnout, like stress, anxiety, overwork, overwhelm, frustration, irritation, the whole thing. I just developed a method of coaching through all of those symptoms, and really, it was incredibly successful. Because burnout sometimes seems like an incurable problem that people don't know how to deal with. And a lot of the solutions that people were proposing weren't very effective. And I found a way of doing it that really hit home with people and really helped them become buoyant again and support themselves in a way that genuinely reconnected the parts of them that were feeling lost and confused and hopeless. And it really gave them the tools to sustain a much more passionate and engaged life. Because what I think is one of the problems with burnout is we feel disconnected from our abilities and from our purpose and from our passion and from the people around us. We feel a bit helpless and kind of we lost our mojo. We've lost our ability to contribute in a way that we think is purposeful, and it's terribly painful. So I think coming out of burnout is we get our passion back and our reconnection with people, and then once we know how to support ourselves, then we also know how to support other people. It's a reconnecting process, our humanity to their humanity. And this is why I work with what I call heart-centered leadership, because I think this dispassionate, analytical, leave your emotions at home flavor of leadership is part of the difficulty of burnout, because we're whole people. We have hearts, we care. And disconnecting that is very, very painful. People I work with in burnout tend to be very altruistic, caring people underneath, but they've parked their emotions so many years ago and just battled on like I did. Battle on, leave your emotions at home, just keep going. They're that kind of people. So when they restore their own capacity, naturally they're supporters of other people around them. They recognize that people around them are suffering emotionally, not just in terms of performance. And then they're prepared to support those people. And I think that's what the world needs right now. We got plenty of disconnection. What we really need now is connection.